Another person who sent me a really nice statement, Nicholas Edwards. He works for the Idaho Attorney General's office. He's an investigator with them. He testified in both trials. In fact, he gave really, to me, compelling testimony in Chad's trial about the gun versus the paintball gun. And I had not heard it described. Remember, there was a big question as to Alex Cox with his gun. Why didn't it fire at Tammy that night she was in the driveway? And was he a horrible shot? Why was it dry firing? Like nothing was happening. And he explained clearly that day to the jury, I believe for the first time that I had heard, is that there were pins in a specific portion of that AR that if you were jostling the gun, if those pins got out of shape, they wouldn't fire. You might be able to get out one shot, but otherwise it would just be nothing. You couldn't fire it. Well, if Alex Cox is moving, if he had planned to shoot Tammy in the other driveway, but she moved to the other one, he could have, been running with it, stressful, moving that gun around, who knows? It makes sense. If he went to fire and the pins weren't in place, they didn't work. And that was just part of Nick Edwards' testimony. He definitely has experience. He's in the military, and he has worked these kind of cases before. Reached out and also asked him, hey, would you like to go on camera, do an interview? He declined, but he said that he was happy to share with me a statement as well as what he wrote in his journal the night of June 9th of 2020. Mr. Edwards said, my experiences working this case have been life-altering. In my 20 years of working Idaho law enforcement, this case was one of the most profound. The day JJ and Tylee were discovered is one I won't forget. I wrote the following in my journal after assisting in their discovery. Quote, that night, as I sat alone in my hotel room just outside of Rexburg, Idaho, I began to reflect on the many experiences I have had throughout my life. At 39 years old, I felt I had been given more opportunities than many of my peers. I thought about my 15-year career as a municipal police officer, my new career as a criminal investigator at the Idaho Office of the Attorney General, my 20-year ongoing military service, and my family. Sitting in an empty hotel room, I called my wife and told her about finding JJ and the satisfaction that comes from a case like this. I spoke to 3 of my children and told them I loved them. Lastly, I spoke to my 4th child, my 7-year-old son, Jackson. As he answered the phone with his soft, innocent voice, tears welled up in my eyes as I sat quietly crying on the end of the phone. The emotions of the day's events turned real as I spoke to my son, a blonde little boy with a heart of gold. I recognized the deep satisfaction turned to gratitude as I told him I loved him and hung up the phone. Gratitude for my wife and kids, gratitude for my career, gratitude for my experiences, and gratitude to my Savior, Jesus Christ. Although tragic in so many ways, the Idaho law enforcement partnerships created and maintained were significantly beneficial for the citizens of the state of Idaho as we worked together with one common goal. The opportunity to work with the federal, state, and local investigators, prosecutors, analysts, and other personnel was a true honor. I am grateful for the outcome of both cases, and I pray it brings some peace to those affected. Nick Edwards, a statement from him from the Idaho Attorney General's office. Thank you to him as well for sending that over. And to all of the investigators who have helped. I could probably spend the next year every day or every other day, every week at least, interviewing a different cop, interviewing a different investigator, interviewing someone involved in this case, and they would all have their personal experiences to share. And for any that are watching that want to, I'd be happy to put you on. I believe they all deserve the credit. These guys and ladies are normally like pretty humble, like they don't like the spotlight and they feel awkward in front of cameras. And so I appreciate them, and I know that you all do too.